Sadhu, sadhu. So, dear Dhamma friends, this is a journey that we go to find the clarity within ourselves. So, when it comes to that, you have to remember you have to stand with your own responsibilities within your heart, within your mind, to purify your bodily, verbally, or mentally actions. So nowadays people practice meditation and sometimes they think just going to complete silence is a successful meditation. And just sitting for hours is a kind of successful meditation. Those are certain steps. But at the same time, our ultimate goal is recognizing and achieving to the enlightenment or the highest wisdom or the liberation. While living as a human, you can experience it. When we look at the history, most of the religions and the most of the traditions and talk about the liberation or the salvation of the Nibbana, talk about it is a kind of a after death experience. But Buddha is the one who bring it down to this earth and mention as a human being, as enlightened, as a human being, you can experience this enlightenment while you living. It is nothing to do with after death experience. So, and the Buddha is the one who gave us this highest goal as a human being. There is no hierarchy when it comes to this practice. Remember that. When you close your eyes, there is no pattern, there is no tradition. You have to be free from that all. And also, there is no any kind of control within your own mind. Because if you come to with this idea called control, you already collapse there. You cannot go beyond it. Because the enlightenment never going to happen out of control. It come out of freedom. So if you cannot give one thought freedom inside your heart, how that kind of heart can facilitate the enlightenment? It's like this. If the farmer make the soil good and prepared, just putting seed on it, it allow the seed to become grounded and to plant, come out of it. But if the ground is not ready, you get the best seeds out of your harvest. If the ground is not ready, how hard you try to plant and put the seed and get the plant, sometimes it's not going to happen. So the finding the inner freedom is kind of like you creating the ground, facilitating yourself for your enlightenment, for your liberation. And so the very first thing for that, remember, you have to understand this journey, go with becoming free, becoming free. Becoming free from what? Becoming free from your own thoughts. Why? Because knowingly or unknowingly, in this samsaric journey, we accumulated many kind of mental formations, patterns, habits. We keep this all. So today you living with this all backpack. When this incident comes, when something comes to your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, what is happening? The very first responder is not the real consciousness arising with the contact. The very first responder is your previous habits, previous thoughts. So this gap itself called the samsara. When you are able to reduce the gap, when something, if you can listen this very carefully, and at the same time you have to think yourself. It is just not looking at me and just listening. In that way you cannot get this. You have to think at the same time with me to catch this. So because I'm not come here to preach, we cannot preach. It's no point. So I come here to make you to understand this. I come here to help you to get into this pattern of recognition. So that's why you have to, step by step, you have to do it. So when it comes something to in front of your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body or mind, so there is a space. That is space held by time. Even the sun, that whatever you see the sun and the light, so to see the sun as a light, that you have, that there is a space, so there is a time. You will never see when the sun rise and as it is according to the same time. It take at least more than 6 minutes to come to you. So it happened far away, and after that you recognize the past. So same like, so whatever that you see, hear, smell, taste, even come to your mind, there is a little gap. In that gap, it belongs to time. Once it belongs to time, what is happening? Your thoughts come and hold that gap. So your thoughts mean it also depending from the time. That's why wherever the time, the thoughts go there. Wherever the time, thoughts go there. So without thoughts, without time, you cannot explain past or future. Without time, without thoughts, you cannot explain past or future. So the thought itself means time. Time itself means thoughts. Catch it. So then when you see something, when you hear something, when you smell, taste, feel, when thoughts come to your mind, there is a gap. That gap held by thoughts. Observing and recognizing means you reduce that gap. That means you reducing thoughts. When reducing the gap, when reducing the thought, reducing the gap, reducing the thought, reducing the gap, reducing the thoughts, there is a moment come when it happen. In that very moment you recognize. In that very moment, you no thoughts. In that very moment, no gap. In that very moment, no past or the future. That is the moment called present moment. In that very present moment, there is no way to arise greed, hatred, or the delusion. And also, in that very moment, there is no moment or space to arise loving kindness, generosity, compassion, like that thoughts. Whatever negative or positive, there's no. So you come to a moment, no thought song, but you experience. That is the present moment. When you're able to come to that moment, and some people come to that moment and are stuck there. It's like a current. And that is what they call samadhi. Your body, your mind, your breathing, all come together. And it works as one. And not only that, there is no gap in between your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, perceptions. So whatever happened in that very moment, you recognize. You're living, but at the same time, you're recognizing, but at the same time, no thoughts related with the time, no thoughts related with the past or the future. But you exist. That existence, people took as connecting to universe, Tattvamasi, oh, I am the God, I am the Brahma, I am the Brahma. So like that people get it. Why? Because it's so powerful. And the people believed, there are some people, they couldn't go beyond it. They hold it to it. It's like we get into current. Look, this wires, the current go through these wires. Once you hold, you cannot release it. Once you get into that, somebody else need to get the stick and hit or pull. So like that, once you get into the current, you cannot get out of yourself. And even the water, look, sometimes when the person get into the current, the person doesn't have strength or power to come out of the current. The same like in the mind. The being in the moment also kind of like getting to a current. But when you are consciously sharp and clear, rather than being in that moment, rather than enjoying it, because that is the moment as a human being, you can experience the most powerful happiness or the freedom. Is you become free means there is no boundaries there. So when it comes to that moment, who want to come back? But what the Buddha mentioned, and don't stuck with the happiness. That's why when we go with the 16 step in the practicing step by step, that we don't facilitate the even though the joy happened, the pleasure happened, we don't facilitate, we don't hold it, we don't harbor to it. We go beyond it. It is a skill. See, sometimes people even forget about this deeper tranquility state of happiness in day-to-day life. When people become happy, they go crazy. They don't recognize. Not only sometimes we talk about the anger, not even only the anger, the happiness also, joy also makes sometimes people blind. So then this happiness is so strong. That's why the most of people think, oh, I'm done. That is the enlightenment. No, that also you experience as a part of this whole process. It also belongs to thoughts. It also belongs to time. That's why Buddha said, this also, whatever the state you're going to attain, whatever the even the high mental powers you get, that also going to go. Even you claim as the Brahma, that you one day that also going to end. So in that deeper happiness or the satisfaction, that deeper connection, if you start to observe, you need the strength for that. Once you start to observe, you recognize that also change. That is where you start, even though you experience that moment, you start to that recognition, the change itself allow you to detach from the moment. That is where you reach to the highest. Even from there, you release. So this is a process. But somehow what you have to do, remember to reduce the gap, the object and the subject, observer and observing. So reduce the gap. So when you have busy thoughts, when you have the busy mind, so what is happening? And worry, sad, happy. So these kind of things can slow down you. So then the whatever you experience, you recognize later. No. So when you practice meditation, what is happening deeply? The sensation itself, when it happens, you recognize. So we come with the inhalation, exhalation in later, there's nothing to call inhalation or exhalation. And when the later, when the sensation arises, in that very moment, with that arising itself, that you recognize it. And that is where you recognize the change. That is where you know the sensation is changing and it is impermanent. It's nothing to do with the self. So it is a step by step that this breaking down this time is difficult. Why? We have chronological time, we have psychological time, we have this physical time. Our mind is related with patterns. Look, we are kind of like a creating pattern. We go through the same pattern. So learn to be free. Be completely free person and come out of the pattern, especially when you are practice meditation. In the society, sometimes it is difficult. Why? Because everyone except we have to be in the pattern. So it is okay, but inside you, remember, try to break down that pattern and become free from time. So it is an art, it is a pattern. And that way you will, whatever come to you, you accept it, the pre-mind. So I'll give another analogy for this to make it little bit clear. And it is coming from this story coming from Taoism. So when you in a boat, you go in the middle of the river. Just think yourself. You enjoy your vacation, you are now riding a boat in the middle of the river. And suddenly there is an empty boat, no one. It maybe came because of the wind, or don't know, maybe somebody came for vacation and jumped into the middle of the river, or don't know, but somehow no one in that boat and came and now you see it come towards you. And what do you think? And you are enjoying and you are in the very happy mood, and then this boat comes slowly, little by little, no harm. Little by little, you see this coming. You see it coming. It's not just pop up. No, you saw it far away, but little by little recognizing no one there. It is empty boat. And then it hit your boat. You just accept it. You don't do anything. So the same, like whatever come to our life, learn to accept as an empty boat. And sometimes anger, hatred, jealousy, envy, things happen. And the beauty is, no one suddenly pop up and get angry. No, you see it happening step by step. You see, moment by moment, you see how it is happening. And you know that. You know it's going to happen. You know that person going to get mad. You know the person going to get angry. You know the person going to get disappointed and shout. So the same like that boat came towards you. You saw this everything. And so when it hit, remember this. Whatever the incident come to you, take it as an empty boat. One day you will recognize what is the relationship with the no time, no thoughts, recognition, and what is the relationship. Take things as a empty boat. Don't put the people on the boat. Just take whatever come to you. Take it as an empty boat. You will see your reactions going to become completely changed. So with that, I bless upon everyone with this good practice. May all of you be well, happy and peaceful. May no harm come to you. May no difficulties come to you. May no problems come to you. May you also have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome inevitable difficulties in your life. So during this time period, may everyone stay healthy and safe. And finally, may all of you attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sabbhitiyo vajjantu sabbarogo vinassatu mate bhavatantarayo sukhi digayuko bhava. Ittavata chamme sampadam punya sampadam sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Idamme punya kammang asavakkaya angotu sabba dukkha pamuncatu. Bless you.